It's Friday. Of course, that doesn't mean anything to real estate agents, right? And look, I put on headphones so I can hear me, but let me know if you can hear me, because yesterday, the first 2 minutes was a lot like this for about 2 minutes. Fortunately, I was told the sound was on. Now, here's what happened. I put another webcam on, and the StreamYard that I used that webcam's microphone as the default. And it wasn't picking things up very well. So I scrambled. But that's the beauty of going live. You just never know what's going to happen. So this morning, I got some new numbers to share. We're going to dive in and we're going to take a look at some data that came in from the Cromford report that's telling you the obvious again. And then I want to kind of talk a little bit about condos, the good, the bad, the ugly, things to watch out for, because condos, they're always the last ones to go up in a hot market and the first ones to come down. I think a lot of that is because when people feel like they can no longer afford a single family house, they run out and purchase a condo. And if you don't like apartment living, you're not going to like living in a condo. It's the same thing. The only difference is the people that manage your apartment complex are professional managers. The people managing the condominium HOA used to be the hall monitor in your grade school. They have no business experience. They're just people that are in the complex and they just want to be in charge of something. So I'm probably going to get slapped around a little bit on that one, but I've been in a condo. So, okay, here's what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to dive in and we're going to see how many units we have available today. So let me share my screen with you. We're going to pull up and here it is right there. And we're looking at active, under contract, contingency, and so on. And I'm going to share from the Cromford report the difference in what those numbers mean and why they look like that. But I go to active. If you're looking for a house, you want to see what's active. You don't want to go out and do a backup offer. Those rarely go through. So let's look at active today. Yesterday, what were we? 4560, I think. Today, 4804. So it has the typical Friday uptick. We've got more listings coming up today on Friday. So, that's going to be if we're coming in only at 4,800 on a Friday, Monday, we're probably going to come down around 4,400. And so that could get ugly. So let's take a look at the Cromford report today. And I want to zoom in on this. So instead of doing that, I'm going to pull up the picture. And I want to get a little closer here. There we go. So of the listings that you see, of that 4,800 that you see right now, roughly, 533 of them are what's considered out of the area. So in other words, out of Maricopa County. And they make up 12% of our inventory, and they have 40 days of inventory. So the out of the area listings and out of the areas like Arizona City, Maricopa is considered in the area. So they have more inventory than anywhere else, 40 days, which is still considered low. Within Greater Phoenix, we have 4,000 homes, 88% of the total. And it says the day's inventory is 14.4. That's a little messy, not messy, but I think if you really look and say, we are putting 4,000 homes under contract every week, and we only have 4,800 homes today, then that 14.4, I think, is a little high. New build homes, people ask a lot about that. There's only 14% of the market has new homes, and their days of inventory is 46. Greater Phoenix homes built before 2020 make up 86% of the homes for sale. And here's where it gets interesting. List price under 300,000. We only have 1,113, 32%. That's a little larger than I thought. List price between 3 and 5. We have 926. between 500 and a million, 21%, and over 1 million, we have 20%. What it's saying down here in the conclusion, out of the area listings are 12% of what's available. Normally, this is less than 2 or 3%. In other words, they're gobbling them up in our major metropolitan areas in Gilbert, Chandler, Green Creek, Scottsdale, and the only thing that's left is out of the area. New home listings are 14% of what available in Greater Phoenix, normally less than 5%. That's a good thing if new construction is increasing, but it's not increasing fast enough. Over 1 million, there are over 2 months of inventory, but we would expect to see 10 to 12 months in a normal market. Now, the Cromford market had a few more, Cromford report had a few more things that I think are interesting. And it's hard to read on your end, so I'm going to read it for you. If you look at the Cromford index, look at Avondale, 901.4. Avondale only has, according to this, 11 homes for sale without a contract. In a normal market, we would expect to see between 300 and 400. Back in 2007, Avondale had over 1,100 homes. I mean, that illustrates the shortage, I think, more than anything else. I don't know what's going on in Avondale. Probably it had a decent amount of affordability, so people ran out there. The level of imbalance between supply and demand may hit a record during February. I think that's a no-brainer. And what it's saying here, it says, when we segment the market by broad geographic regions, it's clear that the Northeast Valley is having the best time at the moment. Closed sales in the Northeast Valley during January, measured by affidavits recorded, were up 24% compared to a year earlier. So this is the Scottsdale area and the high-end market. This is by far the best performance in Maricopa County, with the West Valley up 10%, Central North Valley up 5%, and the Southeast Valley only up 4%. Now, the Southeast Valley is only up 4% because there's just nothing for sale. Otherwise, if there's plenty of inventory, I think their sales will be up around 10%. And it's a similar story looking at median sales price. Now, median sales price just means the average sales price of what was sold. It doesn't mean the price per square foot. So if there's a whole bunch of $100,000 homes being listed, then the median price is $100,000. If the luxury market spikes up, the median price goes up. But the number you really want to look at for price appreciation is price per square foot. So we can see that 48% of active listings are under contract, bring backup status. And if we add the contract contingency, more than 52% have already had a contract agreed on and signed. Now, the reason that people leave things under contract backup and is the main reason is agents want to, if you leave it at under contract backup, it still feeds to the syndicate. So you're still going to show up on Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com. And so the agent gets more exposure by leaving it UCB. Rarely do people come in and give a contract. As soon as you put that house pending, you get pulled off the syndicated market so you don't show up on Zillow anymore. And so that's why you see so many homes. Like if you look at my spreadsheet here, and if I go down to the bottom here, let's see, I'm going to unhide this number. And so this is, see that 1508? That's the number of homes that are under contract with a backup. You only have 84 that are contingent and 2,500 that are pending. So if you're writing an offer and it's contingent, you're kind of having a hard time. Greetings from Eastern Washington, building in Robson Ranch and Casa Grande. Great. Welcome to Arizona. The Eastern Washington could be kind of fun, but not this time of year. And I think you're getting snow today, aren't you? Question here. What payment can the average first-time home buying realistically afford? Regardless of interest rates, are we getting payment bound? Well, Devin, that's kind of a hard generic question to answer. What can the first-time home buyer realistically afford? Well, how much do you make? That's the hard part. My first home when I bought in Seattle, I highlighted it yesterday, it was 12 3/4 interest rate. I paid $112,000 for it. I was making $24,000 a year. My wife at the time was making 17,000, 18,000 as a teacher. And we got the loan. Our payment was about $1,295. So that kind of applies today. I think you need about $45,000 to get into a payment of about $1,295. So what you can afford is you have to look at your debt to income ratio. How much money do you make? How much debt do you have? So you add up how much debt you have and divide it by your income, and that gives you a debt to income ratio. So to find out what you can afford, just get a hold of a lender and say, hey, can you take a look at my situation and tell me what I can afford? And that's the best way to get an accurate information on that. My view on today's market, and I'm a couple things. It's frenzied. So when you're going out there and you're making an offer, it's just nuts. I think it's a tough time to be a first-time home buyer. So I think if it was me, and I was a first-time home buyer, I would have a goal that said, look, I've got this much to put down, and I'm not going to put more than that down. In other words, I may put a little bit more down. Let's say you have $50,000 saved, and so you're going to put $10,000 down on a house. You're going to put a down payment of 15 grand. Now you got $35,000 out there. Do you want to spend it all bidding up, or do you want to say, I'm going to wait and find that other house where I don't have to shoot all of the money that's in my savings? I don't mind the price of the home as long as I can take that price and I can roll it into a 30-year amortized loan. So whether or not I get that home for 300 or 3.25, as long as I can finance the majority over 30 years, I'm okay. But if I'm bidding on a $325,000 house and I have to come up with another extra $25,000 out of my savings to get the house, I'm not a big fan of that right now. I'm looking forward to a normal market to where you don't have to dip into your savings, drain everything you have to beat the other guy. I don't know anybody that a couple of years down the road says, I got a great deal on my house. I outbid 12 people. Because to outbid them, you have to dig up more cash. And then you run the risk of the appraisal not coming in. So let's say you bid $345,000 on a $320,000 house. Okay. And then the appraisal comes in at $335,000. You got to kick in 10 more thousand or you lose the deal. So I don't like that kind of a market. Having said that, go ahead and just keep writing offers on homes that you want with the terms that you're willing to accept. And terms mean, do I drain my bank account or do I not? How much higher do I overbid? And over time, you may get a surprise. Somebody may accept your offer. You just never know. So don't give up. What people do is after they've been kicked out about 4 times, they come in and go, well, all right, I'm just going to go all out and I'm going to give them everything and I'm going to use all the money I've got to get this house. I'm tired of losing. Well, now you've just lost all your savings. So I think it's risky. Is this going to even out more towards the end of the year or summer? You know, all I can say is let's hope so, because these numbers are just brutal. This looking at homes and saying that we only have 4,500 available or right now, and our 7-day moving average is showing that we're gobbling up, you know, several hundred more than are coming on the market. That can't possibly continue for another year. It just can't. There's also a lot of things within finance that make me a little nervous, and I'm going to do a show on that here pretty soon. I'd like to bring in an expert in finance, not in real estate, but to kind of give us a little bit of an insight. Now, in one of my other YouTubes, and I'm going to talk about condos here in just a moment. Before I get to that, in one of my other YouTubes, I talked about homebids.com, which is a real estate site that EXP has that you can put the home on the market and you can get people bidding on your home and buyers can see it in real time. And the concept looks great because you can look and you're a buyer and you can go, ooh, it's 349. Let's go 350. Boom. You know, oh, somebody went 351. I wrote 352. Boom. What it does is it builds up the price of the home and it turns it into even a more frenzied market. And I got trained to use homebids.com. And the more I looked at it, I don't like a frenzied market, and I don't want to participate in making it worse. So I'm not going to use homebids.com. It would be, I think, a contradiction of what I believe in. I don't like aggressive bidding wars, and I don't want to add fuel to the fire. Homebids.com, if you're a seller, you'll get all kinds of bids and you'll get way above your asking price, but there's so much that can go wrong afterwards, because when somebody builds really a huge price up, the odds of it falling out are greater. So you might run the chance of kind of, wasting your time per se. So you're asking 375 for the house, and all of a sudden you're 450, 460 because people bid like crazy, and the winning bidder got it at 460. He has 24 hours to turn in the contract, and he doesn't get it. And the commission thing is paid on the buyer side by the buyer. So a $400,000 house, the buyer has to kick in another $12,000 in the contract. I think the concept has some legs, has some pros, but overall, I think it's not a winner for me, and it's not a winner for buyers. So despite saying that I was going to take a look at that, I am bowing out. So now let me share my screen here. Let's talk a little bit about condos. Before I show you the number of condos and styles that are out there, let's talk about the pros and cons of condominiums. Condominiums are great, especially if you're out of state and you come into Arizona and you want to have something seasonal. Townhomes are fantastic. What's the difference between a condo and a townhome? Well, a townhome doesn't have any upstairs neighbors per se. Some townhomes, they actually list them as condos. A little bit of confusion there, not too much. But a condo or a townhome or even a patio home is great if you're out here from Minnesota and you go home and you don't have any yard maintenance. You can have a webcam inside there. You can control your thermostat from Minnesota, and you have neighbors that are real close watching your property. It's very convenient. You may even want to pick up something that you can use as an Airbnb, but that all depends on the association and the number of units that they're allowing to be an Airbnb. And there's a big crackdown on that right now, so it's not real popular. The condos, you want it to have financing available for FHA. That means people can put 3.5% down, and it helps maintain the price stability of your condominium. Now, to qualify for FHA, there are some requirements. In other words, the complex has to have at least 10% of the HOA money set aside in reserves. If they don't have at least 10% in reserves, they don't view them as very solvent. So FHA is not going to finance the condo. There are also some, it's kind of a moving target now. I don't know what the percentage is, but only a certain percentage of all the units in there can be rentals. There has to be a certain percentage of owner occupied. If let's say that percentage is 70% owner occupied, but it dips to 65, then FHA is not going to finance it. And you won't be able to buy it and make a renter because they're going to cap it. And that's the reason that condominiums say you can buy this, according to the HOA, you can buy it, but you can't rent it unless you were grandfathered. And the reason they say that is so that they can be FHA qualified, so that you have more options for financing, more buyers, more value. So that's one of the first things to check on. VA is kind of the same way when it comes to condominiums. I always feel that condominiums are the last ones to go up in price, first ones to go down when things happen. It certainly was the case when I bought mine in the 80s, and I still see that pattern now. And it's simply because people go, well, I'm priced out, I'm going to go get me a doggone condo or a patio home. And if you don't like living in apartments now, you're not going to like living in a condo. It's the same thing. You just got different neighbors, only sometimes they're a little bit even more persnickety. So let's look at what we got here. So I'm going to share the screen here, and we're going to dip into the world of condominiums and townhomes. And boy, there's nothing like Phoenix to have a variety. So what we have is 810 of them, and they're scattered all over the place. There's certainly a lot more downtown here, right? And up in Scottsdale by the 101. And then there's a bunch up by the Biltmore. And when you get down on the burbs, they're kind of few and far between, right? Even in Tempe. Look at this in Chandler. There's two. So that's handy. Let's see what they are. So I'm going to check this, and this one is 364,000. It looks to me like it might be a new project. Yeah, this is a new project, so I'm not going to mess around with that one too much. And maybe, and look at that, they're right on Chandler Boulevard. Yeah. This one's Lakeview, 352,000. So what I look at is let's take a look at the photos here and see what you can get in Chandler for 352. And it's got a nice new kitchen, big island, very attractive looking unit. They didn't show much. They don't really show you the grounds. So if we go into the details, first thing I look at is the HOA, $199 a month. That's not bad. The average is about $199 a month. And what do you get on the HOA? It says here, exterior maintenance of unit, blanket insurance policy, garbage collection, pest control, front yard maintenance, and common area maintenance like the street. The taller the building, the more elevators they have, the higher your HOA payment is. You get into a simple complex where they just have a swimming pool and some landscaping, the HOA is not bad. During times where the market takes a dip, and like 2006, 2008, where people moved out, now you've got fewer people sharing common expenses. The HOA has a tendency to spike up, and they did starting in 2011, 2012. So this one's been on the market for 70 days. They started out with a list price of $352,400, and now it is $340,000. Something else to tell you about condominiums, and this is a lot of people don't know this, but there is a rule in Arizona that if 75% of the owners vote to sell the entire complex to somebody that wants to turn them all into apartments, they can. So you can be sitting there in your comfort of your condo and you get a letter, "We are buying your unit." Well, I don't want to sell. Well, we voted and we're buying your unit. You tend to see this in older complexes, and there's kind of a red flag that comes up that will let you know that that's about to happen. And that is, if you see in your condominium complex that they set up a rental office, that means that some investors have come in and bought 6, 8, 10, 15, 20 units to use as a rental. So they put management on site to manage it as a rental. That means they're getting ready to sell the whole complex, turn it into apartments. Now, that can be great for you because they're going to offer you market value when they do that with zero real estate fees. So that can be great. But if you bought and you went in and you put in a new floor and you remodeled your kitchen, you can get hosed. I know of a complex on Thomas Road where that happened. People got in, they spent $15,000 upgrading their unit, then they got the letter. So they lost money. I know an individual that paid cash for his. He paid $41,000 for his unit. They got the letter. They were offering him $75,000. He called me. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "You just made a 68% return on your investment. Take the money and run." So, beware of that. Just know that that's possible. I know that the governor is trying to change that because a few people got burned. I haven't seen the latest on it yet. Now, there are some places up in Scottsdale where you can look at condos, and they're not condos, they are co-ops. And co-ops, the price is really low and they're just very confusing. And co-ops have to approve you as a buyer. You're all sharing the expenses. So you're looking at this low unit. It's only $80,000. Holy cow, this is great. But your HOA is like $680 a month for the co-op. So, there's always devil in the details. This one up here is in Scottsdale. It is $289,500. Their HOA is $210,000. Again, it's within the range. Been on the market for 8 days, and we'll double check through the photos here. See what you get. Nice flooring, nice little patio, covered patio, and it's on Granite Reef Road. So it's a 2-story unit, and it comes with the dog. So you don't see this a lot, but if you're looking for a condominium and some companionship, this looks like the place. So I don't know if they have a cat, but that's a pretty nice looking dog right there. So there's the complex there. That looks more like a townhome, but they're calling it a condominium. So when you get down into Scottsdale down here, you get some $1 million condos. And in the north central Phoenix area, there's a lot of patio homes. So if we go down here, let's see if this is the case here. This is on Maryland. This is an interesting one that I watched. I actually took a buyer there, and this complex is it's very unusual. It looks really older, kind of 60 retro style, but a lot of these have been remodeled really nice inside, and their outdoor patios are configured really nice, where you're sitting outside, but you're not directly looking at your neighbor. They're kind of angled. But the interesting thing is when I first showed them, their HOA was through the roof. I couldn't even recommend it. Their HOA now is $430 a month. I think that one's wrong. They've lowered it to about $325, but it's still obnoxiously high. So HOAs can kill you. So you really have to be careful. So when looking at condos, right now we have 810. That number has kind of hovered between 800 and 900 for the past 3 months. It hasn't dipped down to a major shortage like single family homes. Condos are just staying in that zone. So if you look and you see that the number of condos starts exceeding 1,000, that may be the canary in the coal mine that says, buyer activity may be coming down. Condos are going to go down first before single family housing. As inventory starts to go up, the inventory of condos are going to spike up before single family housing. So if we look at condos and we see that we're at 8 something now, 900, all of a sudden we log in and we see 1,500, hold on to your hats. That's going to be a big change in the market. So again, just my personal experience and my personal feelings about where the market can go. Condominiums, make sure that when you're in the inspection period that you take the time to meet your neighbors. So you've got 10 days to inspect it, and you can get out anytime, but go ahead and knock on the door next door and go, hey, my name's Rick. I have an offer on this condo, and I might be moving in a couple days. I just wanted to meet the neighbors, see what's going on. Go down there at night and see if anybody's having a big party at the pool. I mean, some of your neighbors, to be honest with you, you may not even like them. They may be too noisy. They may be playing a stereo really loud. Ask the agent if he can let you in there at 8 o'clock at night so you can just kind of sit and listen to the noise. See what's going on out in the grounds. Are there a lot of dogs and nobody's picking up the dog poop? So, explore those kind of things. It's kind of like houses. I tell people you got 10 days to inspect the neighborhood and inspect the house. So if you go there and you see that your neighbor's walking around his backyard naked, you can cancel the contract. Now, if you see your next door neighbor's walking around naked and you like it, you can ask to close early. So inspection period is very, very important, but especially in condos, you're going to want to see the noise level in condos and townhomes. Some of the things about patio homes that I think you got to be aware of too is if you got a patio home and it's got a nice little patio attached to it that looks out on common ground or a street or a driveway, that's okay. When you get these patio homes where you share a fence, so your patio home's here, get my hands right, your neighbor's here, and you got a fence where my nose is. If your neighbor smokes, now you have smoke in your patio, and I don't like that. And there's just a lot of noise. I don't like sharing fences that close with my neighbor. That's just a noisy situation. And I've seen some beautiful patio homes up in North Central Phoenix that tend to do that. So we are going to have our lending live at 3 p.m. today with Pat. We decided to keep that. There are a few lending updates I want to share today. So be sure and tune in. Do me a favor, smash the heck out of that like button, will you? Have a great weekend.